I suck at jiu-jitsu. How do I suck less at jiu-jitsu?
I guess to suck less.
The diabolical leader of the Headlock
Hey everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just want to welcome you to the newest episode of the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show. So today we are going to take a step back. Actually, for the next 3 weeks, we are going to do some repost episodes, and all 3 episodes are from like the 20s of not the year, the 20s, but the 20s of episodes of the podcast. And so they are, back when I couldn't pronounce jiu-jitsu, and, back when I was just kind of feeling my way through doing a podcast. And I'm just trying to interview people that I know, just trying to have conversations with people that I know. And this episode with Nick that is coming out, or that's being reposted, is really, it's one of my favorites because it was one of the first that really captured how funny the show can be. And Nick and I have a really good relationship like that. Just we're two pretty fun people, and we make a lot of jokes and just try to keep things light. And I think that is something you'll see in this episode, but it's also for me something that started to become more and more of what I was trying to build into the show. This show really happened so organically that, I'm still doing everything by feel, but back then it was even more. And I really think that these 3 interviews are going to be good. We're going to look at Nick Sanders. We're going to look at Jeff Scholes. I did an episode just recently on the bro science of visualization. And I actually had a real scientist come on and talk about visualization, talk about imagery training, and he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. That will be coming out next Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that, we're going to look at a conversation that I had with the head of my affiliation, Jared Weiner, who I'm going to be having on the show hopefully again soon. And so, just a lot of good stuff moving forward on the show, but specifically, this episode I thought I wanted to re-release because so many people enjoyed the last time Nick was on the show, when Nick Sanders and Dan Schuchart were on the show. I don't remember the episode number off the top of my head, but it's in the early 200s. And I would say probably more people have told me that is their favorite episode we've ever done than any other episode. And so that's really cool, that so many people enjoyed that. But there's this point in that episode where we kind of, Dan shares a story, and it's a very intense story, and then Nick kind of picks up where he left off the last time he talked to us on the show. So in this episode, Nick tells kind of the whole story about the car bomb that he dealt with, that he references on our latest time that I had Nick on the show. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, just to kind of encourage you guys to check out that episode if you haven't yet. But without further ado, I think let's get into today's episode with Nick Sanders. It's a very fun conversation, but we also talk about dealing with competition anxiety, and we talk about the military. We talk about all kinds of other different things that aren't just fun, and I think you guys are gonna like it. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Nick, how are you doing, man?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Doing good. I notice you say well. That's very correct.
It's proper English, yes.
Yeah, I always say good. I argue the fact that at this point you can get away with being good.
Well, it's true. The reason why I say I'm doing well though is a friend of mine met his wife now because of because he said he's doing well. She's like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "I'm doing well," and she was attracted to the fact that he knew proper English.
So what you're trying to tell me is you're trying to seduce me, Nick.
Well, that or my fiance is in the other room. Just let her know how good she has it.
Ah, yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, so I usually don't start these with like, like kind of beginning at the beginning, but I
Okay.
feel like your story is super interesting.
Okay.
Not that other people's aren't, but I just feel like, and I know your story pretty well, and so that's kind of where I wanted to start out. So, you were in the infantry,
Yes.
in the army. What made you want to join the army?
So, um, well, I was a senior in high school, and I had a bunch of soccer scholarships. Go play D1 soccer. A bunch of offers on the table, and because I was very competitive in the soccer. Played for Anheuser-Busch's team, very big, and I was on my way to school. I was running a little late when the first airplane hit the World Trade Center, and I was listening to a local radio station, KC95. I was listening to them, and they were saying, "Hey, there's an airplane that hit, and we don't know what it is. Could be a terrorist attack or just an accident." By the time I get into school and I'm in my first class, we had the TV on, and actually watched the second airplane hit the second tower. And I was just telling Nadia this story this morning, actually. Um, I looked at my buddy I was in art class with, and he's like, "Man, we got to do something about this." I'm like, "Yeah, somebody does have to do something about this." So I joined the army. 2 weeks later, shipped off to basic after I graduated high school, and then did some time. I did about 12 months, a little over 12 months in Iraq. Fought there for a little bit, and then uh, while I was in the army, I learned jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
So
so that was your first introduction to jujitsu, correct?
yes, so basic training. We I was a pilot program where they were implementing the new combatives, and before it was boxing. They taught you how to box in basic training, how just Western boxing, and the UFC was very popular. The Ranger Regiment, they had started their own combatives program, and it started filtering down into the regular army. And so there, I learned a really basic shrimp, and I learned the triangle choke. And then, do you remember? You probably remember this, the guard break where you like step up and slide your hand down your leg to
Yep, and you
open.
force yourself into a triangle.
Yes, yes. So I learned those, and then those were three moves we learned. And then the drill sergeant said, "All right, you can do punch to the body and slap to the face," and we just went at it like on the grass, just beat the heck out of each other. And that was
Uh-huh.
my first intro. And then when I was what we call the line, where I was actually in my unit, we did combatives every now and then, but it was mainly like shoot, move, communicate stuff. Deployed after the military, I got out and found a jiu-jitsu school, start training jiu-jitsu.
Where did you start out?
So I started at the Chitwood Brothers in Mansfield, Ohio.
Hmm.
So I went to college there, and they had a jiu-jitsu school. I wanted to do MMA when I first got out. I wanted to do MMA. The Ultimate Fighter was really popular in 2006 when I
Hmm.
got out, and I'm like, man, I want to do this stuff. And then I got punched in the face, like really hard by some guys. I'm like, man, I don't really want to do this. I like jujitsu.
Yeah.
And so I did jujitsu. So I started with them, the Chitwood brothers. Sean Chitwood at the time was a brown belt, and Craig was a purple, and Neil, who's also an Army veteran, he was still serving. He was a blue belt, and those were my first instructors.
And so that's in 2006, right? That's when you
Yeah,
start out.
the end of 2006. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been training about 14 years. So I always like to ask this because people are always really interested in it. That's something that like my white and blue belts always tell me is one of their favorite things that they hear on the podcast is kind of explain what jujitsu was in 2006, what it
Oh
was
man.
like training and how different it was.
So, all right. So I'll tell you this is like, man, Helson Gracie was who I was with. He said there is no guard besides close guard. That's like that's what he said. Like half guard is just get back close guard. X guard doesn't work. All that stuff doesn't work. Like X guard was just getting popular. No, like Marcelo just started like crushing guys with it. There was no 50-50. There was no reverse De La Hiva. There was none of this stuff. And like spider guard was very basic, and it was very basic smash. There was no like real flowy stuff. It was we're gonna go out there and learn how first the street defense is first, sport is 2nd, and guys would just in the big judo gis when I first or Krugans. Do you remember the Krugans gis? I had a Krugans gi. I bought that because I like to do the Ezekiel choke, but the judo gi sleeve was too big, and I had to like really work hard. So I'm like, I gotta get a jiu-jitsu gi, and I bought a Krugans, and it fell apart like because it's made in Brazil, and it fell apart. It fell apart like a month later, but yeah, I had a Krugans, and yeah, it was just man, very old school. Like there were no black belts. There's 5 black belts in the whole state, and a lot of people don't know this, but Salo Ribeiro, he was actually in Toledo, Ohio, before San Diego, and I trained with him up in Toledo every once in a while, but well, I didn't train with him because I was a white belt, but I trained at the academy. And yeah, there was like 5 black belts, like Shanji and Salo, Chris Blanky, Robin Giesler, Jeff Hudson, and George Grigel was there. And those were like the black belts in the whole state of Ohio. There was 0 black belts. Now there's like 200 or something now.
Yeah, and that's like, and you can look at that in, Missouri and Illinois where we're at now. It's really similar. When I started, Kyle was a purple belt.
Yeah.
And I remember my first time going to a jiu-jitsu tournament was my first time seeing a black belt. It was Jonathan Stutzman.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what year he got his black belt. So I don't know if it was even my first year of training.
It might have been like 2007, 2008. He's from Ohio.
It was 2008 when we were in Ohio competing.
I think he just got his black belt then.
Okay, then yeah, I remember that was the first black belt that I ever seen, and it was years later. Kyle did a seminar at his school, and I went up with him, and it was really weird because you're training with a guy that like is just a regular dude, but in my mind, I was like, because I was 14, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy must be the best guy at jiu-jitsu ever because he's a black belt, and I'd never seen one of these.
For sure, yeah. Like my first in-house tournament was at Salo's gym, and none of the black belts competed, but like, you had some blues and purples. The first black belt I ever saw compete, do you remember Dustin Hazlett?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw him at Naga. It was like 2008. He was out there just smoking guys, just killing dudes at a Naga. And that's when Naga was real popular. Another, blast from the past for your white and blue belt listeners. Naga was the shit tournament back in the day.
It was.
It was the big dog.
The Arnolds was, and they put on the Arnolds. That was the biggest tournament that there was.
Yeah, I think the biggest tournament in the U.S. was Naga when they ran the Arnolds. Before that was Helson, and that was a cluster. But yeah, like Naga took over in 2008 and or even 07 they took over.
Yeah.
And there'd be 5,000 competitors. Like, you wouldn't even compete until 3 a.m.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That was crazy, and the craziest thing about it is you had guys like Marcelo. When Marcelo was in his prime, it's not like you had purple belt Marcelo coming out and doing the Naga Arnolds. You had them, the best guys in the world, going in. They had a no-gi open class division, and it was for $1,000.
Oh yeah, that was big.
And it was the fight, dude. You had Jeff Monson winning. Yeah.
Pedropano was there. It was like Salo, Pedropano, Marcelo Garcia, Jeff Hudson. There was a couple of big name guys in there that they were, like I said, competing for $1,000.
Dude, I remember. I really feel like it was the last year. I remember maybe it was 2009. Or maybe 10, but I remember doing it kind of the last year that it was like this really cool event for jiu-jitsu. The Arnolds is an awesome event.
For sure.
Specifically for jiu-jitsu, I remember going, just being starstruck, waiting in line behind Bruce Buffer because there was a UFC that night.
Yeah, yeah.
And at a concession stand and being like, "Oh my gosh, it's Bruce Buffer."
I met Dana White there the
Did you
first year.
really?
Yeah, the first year they had the UFC in Columbus. I think it was when Randy Couture beat up Tim Sylvia.
Uh-huh.
I think that was in Columbus, Ohio. And when he came out of retirement, I met Dana White there before the Naga all started. It was the weigh-ins. It was Friday. He was running around. I'm like, oh shit! I pulled out my flip phone and took a little selfie with him.
Dude, I bet I can find it. I have a horribly grainy picture with Bruce Buffer. Me and one of my guys just got his brown belt on Monday, Justin Kitchler. We were, I don't know if we were in the picture together with him or if we both got one with him, but, or just maybe even one of him. But yeah, either way,
That's
Bruce
awesome.
Buffer, that was my claim to fame, is that I met him. And
Bruce Buffer.
yeah, and we were live, if you will. He was, yeah, he was. That was an awesome event.
Yeah, it's like the problem that I think the last year that, like, I think it was 2009 when it was real huge. I think the problem with it was that they put you in the main hall as all of the other fitness things.
Yeah.
And it was like you couldn't see anybody competing. There's no warm up area. There was thousands of competitors, and I don't think they were equipped to do it. And I think after that it kind of fell off. And is it Grappling Industries? Are they the ones who took over now?
I believe Grappling Industries does it now. I would like to go again. I mean, I know it would be a fun thing. I really thought about doing it. They had it, and I don't know if he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna end up doing it. But Gordon Ryan was supposed to be in the open class nogi.
Yeah,
I thought that was like really cool that they did that.
Yeah, they're gonna pay him big bucks, I think, to go out there and do it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I doubt he was gonna do it for $1,000.
They had a pretty big lineup, right? Didn't they have a couple of big name guys that were talking
I thought
about?
they tried to really make it stacked, and I think a few guys have fallen off. I don't even know when the Arnolds actually is. I haven't looked it up.
It's this weekend coming up.
Is it really?
Yeah, Amanda Clifton's competing in it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I don't. I guess I didn't really focus too much on it because no-gi doesn't work in the streets,
It doesn't.
and so people don't even realize. Exactly.
Midwest in wintertime, people wear hoodies.
Yeah, exactly. People don't get it. People think that no-gi works in the streets. It just doesn't, man. Only gi training is what works in the streets.
Man, yes, always.
Yeah. And so I can see that becoming a sound bite and people thinking that I am serious when I say that too.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. You just got no film. Don't put any video up. Just put that audio, and people.
And I can see people coming up to me at tournaments and being like, "Dude, I only trained no-gi and I got in a fight and I won." And I'm like, "Nah, you probably didn't use real."
First off, you didn't get in a fight. Second off, you did do jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so getting back to actually, we're still on the Army. So you're a Purple Heart recipient.
Yes.
Yes. Can you explain? I think actually a lot of people may not even know what that means. They hear that a lot, but they may not know what that means.
So Purple Heart is you are wounded or killed by enemy fire. So so a lot of guys who were KIA or killed in action, they get posthumously awarded the Purple Heart, but that's what that means, is that you were wounded or killed in action. And it has to be from enemy fire. It can't be like a ricochet from your buddy's, shotgun shell and hit you in the foot. It's like enemy has to be actually shooting at you or something. So
are you comfortable telling that story?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been let's see. It's been 16 years since it happened. I got it in 2004. So we were back in Iraq. Samara, Iraq, 2004. July 8th was when it was, and we were on at the time when we first went to Iraq, we dissolved the Iraqi military and police and everything, and then we started building them back up. So when I first got there, it was ICDC, the Iraqi Civil Defense Corps. Then it turned into the Iraqi National Guard, and then it later on became the IA, the Iraqi Army. So at the time, it was the Iraqi National Guard. We were on their compound, and so their compound sat in between, right on the banks of the Euphrates River. And there was two bridges that went to this little island that this compound was on, and then on the other side of the bridge was an Iraqi police checkpoint, and then it went into the city of Samara. And so the night prior to that, we had taken some contact from the enemy, and we killed a couple guys. That we thought that was the end of it. Come to find out, one of the guys shooting at us was an Iraqi police officer, and they came up to the compound and asked, they said, "Hey, you have to pay for his burial. You killed him by accident." And we told them politely to go kick rocks that he was shooting at us. And so then an Iraqi police truck full of explosives drove on the compound and blew up next to where we were sleeping. And so I think I was one room away, so I was maybe 15 feet away from where the truck had actually blown up, and it killed 5 guys in the first room and wounded 19 total. I took some shrapnel from a car bomb, and then the fight ensued after that. So after we got blown up, I'm kind of dazed and confused, and they start dropping indirect on us and small arms fire, and so I picked up the rifle and just kind of protected the guys that were hurt, returned fire when I could until our quick reactionary force came in, and they medevaced me out to Camp Spiker, and I was out of action for about a week. They gave me some stitches. I had some stitches in my head, my shin. I had some good superficial scarring on my arm and stuff because like a wooden door blew up in my face.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I had like splinters all over my face and body and stuff, and like a week and a half went by. They took out the stitches, and I was back out there patrolling with my guys and getting in firefights and doing that stuff.
How long were you in? How long were you there before that happened?
So I got there in February. I got to Kuwait in February to Camp New York. We were there for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I think March. So 4 months. 4 months in country. Okay. And then that happened. I stayed in country until September, and I got R&R for 2 weeks, and I went back, and then didn't come back to Germany until March the following year.
Okay. So then how long are you there after, once you get back and you're on active duty?
So back to Germany or back to?
So after this car bomb thing, you said it was 2 weeks, and then how long till you were back to Germany?
March the following year. So July till March. Yeah.
Okay. So then you come back to Germany. Did you train at all when you were in Germany?
No, didn't train in jiu-jitsu, Army stuff. Then I became a recruiter for the Army my last year, and in Springfield, Missouri, actually. And that's when I started watching The Ultimate Fighter and the UFC and all that stuff. And then once I ETS from the Army or got out of the Army, that's when I started training jiu-jitsu full time.
Okay. And so you start training, and you are getting out of the Army. Or you went from active duty to the reserves?
No, I got completely out. I got out in 2006, just complete separation from the Army, and just started training full time, going to college, and then I got back in later on. I joined the Guard back in 2011, I think. So I had a 5-year break in service, and then got back in. I kind of missed the camaraderie and all that stuff, and I've been in ever since. So I'm on the path to retirement.
Okay, so you're on the path to retirement, and you're still in school, correct?
No, I just graduated with my 3rd degree.
Oh,
yeah.
What are your 3 degrees in?
My first one's criminal justice. That's why I was in Ohio. I went to college for criminal justice, and then didn't do anything with that, like most college kids, and just trained jiu-jitsu full time. I was a mat rat, and then had it when I was 29. I think I was about to turn 30. I had like a existential crisis. I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do with my life? Yeah. And so I kind of Google searched top fastest growing fields in career fields in America, and physical therapy came up, and well, let's backtrack. The reason why I was a mat rat is because with that criminal justice degree, I graduated when the Great Recession hit, and so I wanted to be a law enforcement officer, and I worked a little bit with the U.S. Marshals and and it's just like there were no job openings anywhere. It
Yeah.
was just it was just it was rough. It was a rough go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then so it was hard. It was hard to get the job. It was hard to, and then finally I started working with the marshals. And then after a while, I'm like, I just really don't want to do this anymore. And then I got into some private security contracting stuff when I got back to Missouri for a little bit, but just mainly jujitsu. And then I went back to school. I'm like, okay, I'm not, arresting guys. I'm not doing any security work anymore. I'm not going to deploy anytime soon with the Army. What am I going to do with my life? And so I started doing physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And then went back to school for my administrator's degree.
Okay, so you start doing physical therapy. By the time you're doing physical therapy, you're a black belt, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you start teaching too, right? Start teaching jiu-jitsu.
Yes, I was teaching. So I actually opened up a gym with a friend of mine, Jason Smith. It was S2 at the time. It's now Maelstrom. But we opened up together, and literally, I think like 4 months later, I get into school for physical therapy. And so I had to make that decision. I'm like, hey, do I keep teaching or do I get my degree and focus on that? So I just sold off what I had invested into the business back to him, and he has a successful gym by himself now. So and then I went to school. I just did physical therapy. So I taught every once in a while. I taught at Finney's for a little bit, the kids program with Ezra, and then just went to school full time.
Mm-hmm. And so then you went from teaching at Finney's, and then you were teaching. You're the head coach at the Hit Squad for a while.
I was there. Yeah, I was at the Hit Squad. So they had their issues, as you know, with instructors in the past. So they had some black belts come in that weren't reliable or had issues with them, and I was contacted by the manager about taking over the program. And 2 years ago, actually, what was it? 2018. They contacted, and I was like, at first I was like, no, I really don't need to do this. I'm making great money. I don't need to teach, and I really didn't want to teach, honestly. And then I was like, okay, well, let's start with like 2 days a week, see how we do. And from there, I fell in love with teaching jiu-jitsu again, and realized that this is like I'm meant to be an instructor. Like I loved coaching, and I taught there for 2 years. And then unfortunately, the former owner didn't pay his bills and and went bankrupt. So
well, I guess it depends on how we're looking at it. It was unfortunate for you. For me, I bought their mats, and so
and you got a lot. You got like all my students. I told them all, hey, go to Josh McKinney's gym, and they all went there, and they love it. By the way, all of them are super happy. So
and for the people that don't know, is we were actually in. It's funny, we're part of the same team. We were in the same city.
Yes, like a 10-minute drive from each other.
Yeah, 10-minute drive from each other. There's 40,000 people in the city. But still, we're both able to have jiu-jitsu programs.
And they were successful jiu-jitsu programs. Like I had, in 2 years, like I had like maybe 60 people signed up. I had like 40 regulars that would come in. And you have over 100 people, right?
I just signed up 150.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, 150. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so that happened yesterday. I was pretty excited about it.
That's a big number.
Yeah, for sure. So you now teach at Revive, right? Yes.
So now Junior Silva, his wife Jessica, and I started Revive out at St. Peter's. So I teach out there. I'm not there during the day because I still have my real big boy job. But I'm out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday through Saturday. I'm out there teaching.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you're enjoying it out there?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's a beautiful gym. If you haven't seen it, BJJ or www.revivebjj.com. Check out the pictures. I mean, the mats are Fuji mats that they used at ADCC. The white. It's beautiful.
It really is. It is a really just pretty. Everything's really white and just
clean.
Really pretty.
It's clean. Speaking of like old school gyms, I remember like where I was started at to where I am now is like polar opposites. So like when you started jiu-jitsu, the Chillage gym was clean, but all the other gyms would like dingy, just like like I feel like they had that mentality, like the dirtier the gym, the tougher we are, And so you would see like jock straps on the mat, and like staff was not uncommon to get all the
Uh-huh.
time, and now the 180, you have Revive, where it's like we are anal about mopping every, like Nadia the other night, she had some toenail polish on, left some marks on the white mats, and
Ooh.
like right away we had to scrape them up. I had to give her a
Kick her
straight
out for
talking
that.
to. I know. I told her, I was like, look, you do it again, you're not coming back here.
Yeah.
So
Nadia is Nick's fiance
yeah,
for those
Nadia's
of
my
you who
fiance. She's a white belt, trains jiu-jitsu. She's awesome.
So I actually, since you brought it up, I had some questions about that. So your fiance starts training.
Yes.
What was the reason? Why did she start?
So when we first started dating, she's my we met on Tinder. So I'll get that full disclosure. She's my Tinderella. So
Okay.
so she started looking up some, I put videos on Instagram and Facebook, and she started looking them up, and she's like, oh, that's really interesting. She watched some of my matches, and she was like on the outside of the culture just because of me, just by proxy, and she saw what I did and she thought it was cool. And then I opened up the gym, and she's like, I really want to get the girls into it. And so she's kind of started training a little bit to like kind of have an idea what the girls are doing, and we took the girls, and that didn't work out, but Nadia stayed. So she just was like, I think just by osmosis being next to me,
Yeah.
she just started getting into it. Now she really likes it a lot. She has this, the white belt struggles everybody has, but to her credit, she's super tough and sticks with it. And she has a live-in, fiance that's a black belt, that we come home and we practice. Like, she'll ask me questions on what she did wrong, and we'll talk and stuff. And so she's gonna be like, she'll be a black belt fast for sure.
Yeah. You and I were comparing notes on, because my wife recently started training. No more than a year ago, probably closer to like 8 months ago. And we were comparing notes on, how they react to certain things. My wife doesn't ask me a ton of questions about jiu-jitsu. Like she probably the best word to use, complains about certain things, and I'll be like,
Yes.
yeah, I'll show you this. And so she's always very receptive. But if I try to show her something that she didn't ask about,
Oh, don't.
yeah,
Dude,
I better learn how to defend her right hand.
that's the one thing that Junior told. So Jessica is Junior's wife. She's a purple belt, and he would tell me, he's like, man, I can never coach Jessica. She would get so mad at me, because I would try to help her out, and she'd get mad, and she's like, now she's better because she's a purple belt, and like we can talk more. But like I experienced that with Nadia. She doesn't want me to coach her at all, so I try not to.
Has Nadia competed yet?
No, no, no. She hasn't competed. I don't think she really wants to just yet, because she is like more competitive than me. She's
Yeah.
super competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. She wants to go out there and crush souls. So I think she's going to kind of hold off until until she's ready to like kill girls, and then I think she'll compete at some point.
Yeah, I can't stress this enough. The most stressful experience that I've ever had in my life was Emily's first time competing.
She did awesome though.
Yeah, she won. She had 3 matches, and she won 2 of them and ended up actually getting first in her division. And I've never been more stressed in my life. My heart was just pounding. Everything I would say, I was like, should I have said that? Don't say that. Like, I was so stressful.
See, I probably, if Nadia competes at like an IBJJF or something, I won't even be on the sidelines. I'll probably be up in the stands just watching and let one of you guys coach,
Hmm.
because I don't want, like, I don't want to throw her off, and I don't want that stress. I just want to
Yeah.
sit back and be like, all right.
Well,
Yeah.
the plan was for me to not coach Emily, and she got called to compete like one of the first adults, and they had just finished the kids, and so I was still the only coach there. And
Oh man.
so yeah, I was like, oh well, I guess we're doing this, huh?
It all worked out to your benefit, man. Imagine if she would have lost, she would have blamed you.
Oh yeah, she would have been like, well, maybe if I had a better coach, you know.
Maybe if you would have taught me that position, Josh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too, the girl that she fought, I'm pretty sure that it was her boyfriend or husband coaching her. And so I
Oh,
had to flex on him and be like, yeah, dude, I mean,
you
Or
know,
a better husband
yeah,
wife couple.
yeah, pat him on the top of the head and say, "Good job, buddy. You did your best."
But not today.
Yeah, but I'm a better husband than you.
Oh
But
my god.
Hey guys, Josh McKinney here. Just wanted to interrupt really quick and tell you about something really exciting that we have happening at simplifyingjujitsu.com. So, for the first time ever, I decided it was time to start sharing my ideas of distance and guard passing online. And so if you follow me on YouTube, if you follow me on Instagram, you've been seeing that we've really been pushing these ideas. They've been getting a lot of traction. A lot of people have been excited about the simplicity of understanding distance while you were the top player in jiu-jitsu, and how much people are shocked with how much value there is with that simple understanding. There is this concept, this idea out there. We call it chest over chest, and it really is the answer to never get swept and never get submitted while on top ever again. We don't have a professionally lit, bright, in the studio instructional out yet. We will have that soon, but for right now, I wanted to give you guys a chance to at least start on these ideas. And so how we did it was we took actually a couple seminars that I have taught, and we combined them into just this chest over chest seminar. It's got Q&A, it's got live rolling footage, it's got all kinds of other things, even got some in the gym little clips to add some context and just to answer some questions that people have asked since buying the instructional. But what's really been cool about this instructional is every person that has bought has seemed to feel the need to send me an email and tell me about just how much they like it, how much it helped them simplify their jiu-jitsu. And so if that interests you, you can go to simplifyingjujitsu.com/WMACOC. I finally got the what is that called? The link memorized. But if you don't want to memorize the link, you can just check the description below and check out my chest over chest ideas, kind of just this idea of understanding distance. Also, I included the pinch in there. This is a different instructional, or the different seminar that I taught. Also very valuable, just understanding how to actually control somebody's upper body when you get good at winning distance. And so they kind of go hand in hand. That's why I kind of made sure that we kept them together. But if that interests you, be sure to check it out at simplifyingjujitsu.com. Without further ado, let's get back into this interview. But kind of, at this point, we talked a lot about, the Army, you train, you're a physical therapist, basically, and you just got your third degree.
Second degree.
Second degree.
Yeah,
basically, you do, no, I meant degree of.
College degree, yes.
Yeah, college degree. Okay, yeah, then we can throw that into the mix. You actually, yesterday, just got your second degree on your black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically the point I'm trying to make is that you do a lot of stuff. If you had a baseball card, the back of it, the stats would just they'd have to do a smaller print.
Well, you forgot landlord too.
You are a landlord. You're a landlord.
I have
too.
way too many things. Yeah, I own some rentals.
We haven't even talked about that you are a really good jiu-jitsu competitor.
I try to be, yeah.
Yeah, and so kind of how do you feel like you can balance all of that?
Oh my God. I honestly don't balance. I like one suffers like there are one or two that suffer at all times. So like right now, Nadia and I are talking. We're gonna buy another home, and so oh man. So like the pans are coming up. I signed up for it. I haven't bought the flights yet because I'm not sure, what's going to happen with the house and all that stuff. So like something's going to have to suffer. I think I love Nadia. That's why I'm marrying this woman. I think what suffers the most is that like sometimes I'm a really bad fiance, and like because everything else is everything else not comes first, but like is important, and so I think so a balance. I just focus on what I'm doing, right? Like in the army, we have a saying. It's like focus on the 25-meter target. So that's like, that's the closest target that you're going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on that one first. Don't worry what's up behind there. Hit
Mm-hmm.
that first mark first. So if I have a competition coming up, I'll focus on, okay, what do I have doing today? Am I doing the black belt training session with the guys? That's what I'm focus on. And then after that, what do I have to do at the rental property? I might swing by there, get some stuff done. And work is work. Like, to be honest with you, physical therapy is really easy. So if anybody's thinking about getting in that field, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So I work with I have a really good supervisor. So I have a good team there. But just I guess I have to put on the hat when it's time to do the army thing and focus solely on that. Don't worry about anything else. And when I'm done with it, I'm done with it. I put it back on the shelf, and then it's back to being dad, fiance, jiu-jitsu coach. I just have to switch gears every time.
Yeah, and I think that there is this isn't just for jiu-jitsu. This is just a very in general. There is this thing for men a lot of times for whatever reason that you love your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend so much you say, well, I want you to have like everything in life, and or your kids too. I want you to have everything in life. So I will work really hard to be able to afford that.
For sure.
And then you have to find that balance of, but I still have to spend time with you.
Yes, oh my God. That's a discussion we had in this house the other day. It's like, I want to provide as best I can. I'm like, I think I'm like that. The Rolling Stone gathers no moss. I always have to have a goal. I always have to be moving forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're dying. And so, like I said, I find goals for myself, and I like, what do I need to work on? Not just in jiu-jitsu, but life. What's my next goal? So I set that goal and I go out to achieve that goal. And, it's like, my goal is to provide a great living for my kids, better than I had when I grew up. I want to, if Nadia wants to do part-time work, be a stay-at-home mom, wants to work, whatever she wants to do, I want to provide for her. And so, like, I don't have enough hours in the day to do that. But I think that's a man's job is to provide for his family. And so I take that to heart.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I totally I get I get your perspective, because you have your goals, and I think probably for both of us, and probably a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, when you have that mindset, when you have those goals, pretty much the thing that's going to suffer the most is going to be competitive jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because that's something that it really doesn't make money. And so you can make money, but especially like even the big tournaments that you win, they can help build your brand to be able to have DVDs or do something like that. But the truth is, you win worlds, you're
not making money from worlds.
Yeah, you get a painted gold medal.
Yeah, literally.
And so it's I think it is hard to find that balance, because you still want to do what's important to you, and you still want to win in jiu-jitsu. When you're competitive, you want to go win.
Yes. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like these tournaments, I mean, you can do fight to wins and stuff, but you're only getting so much money. And it doesn't justify all the hours of training that you put in for that small ass paycheck that they give you. I justify it as I'm building my brand. People want to come train with me because people like winners. They like people who win. They want to train with people who are competitive, and not even, I shouldn't even say winners. They want to train with, like, I feel like your students want to train with somebody who actually competes.
That's very true. As
the leader of your gym, you go out and compete, and if your students want to compete, they like to see the leader out there competing. So like, win or lose, a lot of them don't really care. Like, they want to see their coach out there putting putting his money where his mouth is. And so that's the only reason why I'm super competitive when it comes to that stuff. Like, when I go in there and I do a tournament, I want to win, but I do it mainly just for brand recognition and marketing the gym. And, just some small personal goals. I want to be a black belt world champion. That's my goal. So
that's this year, right? I'm
going to do it. Yeah. Master 2 this year. I'm going to try to win the worlds. Pans, if I go to it, I'm gonna try to win pans. My division's looking pretty good. Like I've looked up most of the guys, and I don't think I'll have a problem with very many of them.
Yeah, man, I think you're really, and I can say this because I train with you twice a week. I really, or three times even,
Hmm.
but I really think that you're feeling really good. You always you do a good job when you compete, competing like you train.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something, myself included, that's something a lot of people struggle with. So do you have any tips on that? Like how you can kind of do that?
I used to struggle with that at white belt. I used to, and even blue. I think I started really turning it around at purple belt, where like so like white and blue, I would be a smasher in the gym, and then I would go out there and just lock up close guard and just hold on and like I can't lose, I can't lose.
Yeah.
So I actually um when I started really making a lot of progress was at black belt, and as a mutual friend of ours, Jeff,
Hmm.
sports psychologist, he gave me a lot of mental, meditation workouts for mental building, and I started just telling myself, I'm like, look, all right, I train with some of the toughest dudes around,
Yeah.
and my stuff works on them. So
Hmm.
if I go out with these guys, they don't even know what I'm going to do to them, and it's going to work. And
Yeah, for
so I
sure.
just tell myself, I'm like, look, I'm out here to win. You got to open your game up. You can't pussyfoot around it. You have to go out there and play your game. And I always do a loose. What helped out a lot too is at purple belt I started creating like a loose game plan.
Hmm.
So I would figure out, okay, what am I going to do first? Am I going to pull guard or am I going to do a takedown?
Hmm.
Because if you hesitate, that's when you're losing. So you have to be able to pull the trigger before your opponent does. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull guard. What sweeps are you going to do when pull guard? I'm going to try this sweep. If this doesn't work, I'll try this sweep. Then like I would just leave those open for me. Like I'm going to try these sweeps. If I'm in this guard, I'm going to try this sweep.
Hmm.
And then if they pull guard on me, this is the pass I'm going to do. I'm going to try to
Hmm.
force this position. And so I prescribe a lot to Lovato's theory of like headquarters positions.
Hmm.
Get to a position where you have multiple attacks, shut down your opponent's attacks, and then you can figure out what he gives you instead of like forcing something.
Yeah.
And always have an answer for him. So I think strategizing, like have a loose game plan. What am I going to do? Pull guard, sweep, pass. Then I'll start submitting, and then I'm not even going to worry about a submission until then. And so just little things like that, I think
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
helped out.
I think that that can be really huge, is just having that. If you've told yourself that you're prepared for, all these different positions that you're going to see, generally, it's just much more helpful for your mind.
Yes, yes, yeah. Like some of the stuff. One of the big things Jeff told me it was when things started getting like in the training room or in the tournament. Like especially I think in the preparation, the training room, because it can suck sometimes when you get smashed
Hmm.
and you're in bad spots and your cardio is starting to suck and you don't know what's going on. He said like think about like a leaf that it's just a frame in time. It's like a leaf down a stream. So that leaf just passes through that frame in time on that stream, and then you just reset your brain. All right, this is the next session, next match. If I got tapped out, okay, that is over. There's nothing I can do about that. Let's work on what's next. And I think honestly, being with the team like you, Junior, Luigi, Kyle, Jeff, um, when I get to your dad, when we all get to train together, I think that really helps out
Oh
a
my
lot,
gosh.
like a
Dude,
lot.
that's something I always had trouble with coming up in jiu-jitsu, and now I'm so spoiled. I used to like when I was a blue belt, I was Kyle's, like I think I was his third blue belt. When I was a
Hmm.
purple belt, I was his second purple belt. I was his second brown belt.
Hmm.
And these things are like they're really tough because we go in and I don't have guys pushing me, and then the guys that I'm fighting, at purple belt, you're fighting guys that are world champions,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I'm like, dude, these guys are in rooms that are just so tough. And so what starts to happen is as I keep like as we keep trying, like you're trying to build up that next group at your gym, so like they don't have that struggle, but you still it still sucks when you have that struggle. Well, then it literally seemed like overnight one day, like we all just kind of got together at like the same time,
Yeah,
2 years ago and started training together.
yeah. It might have even been 3 years ago because like Junior moved into town, and
Hmm.
Jeff came to school here at
Yeah.
SLU, and then I had issues at Finney's and came to Kyle's, and we all just started kind of training together at Kyle's gym, and thank God Kyle's gracious enough to let us all in and train
Yeah.
together. And then Luigi started, he got done with the police academy. He started coming in and training, and now we have Captain America who's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
to really kill us. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think and I think you can have a room full of black belts and not have the same results we have. I think
Yeah.
the reason why we do so well is because we genuinely care about each other, and
Hmm.
we like when you guys fought on Fuji. I think I was more hyped than you guys were.
Yeah.
I was more pumped up for your guys' win than you were because I was just really proud of you guys, and I think that's that positive room really helps guys get better. You have that positive peer friendship. They're pushing you, but not pushing you to the point where it's like toxic. And they're
Hmm.
not. It's competitive, but not competitive to the point where it's toxic. We're
Hmm.
there to help each other get better. We're always sharing ideas, exchanging techniques. Like, hey man, what would you do in this situation?
Hmm.
I don't know how many times any of you guys have shown me something that I've actually used in competition. I'm like, oh yeah, Josh showed me that.
Hmm.
So I think that's
And
always really important.
it is. Man, it's just so nice to have that, to just kind of have that mega mind thing that we got all
Yes,
going, And so
yes.
it's really been, it's been such a fun season of life just to get to train. Monday, Wednesday, we trained super hard during the day, like, during people's lunch break and stuff. And it's just every time we just go in and train hard.
Yes, it's awesome. I actually made my schedule at work so I can get off work at like 10:30 to make it down there in time to get
Yeah.
training on Monday, Wednesday.
For sure, man. So this is yeah, I think that like that room, it's so much fun to have. But speaking of that room, I was really hoping I would get a segue to be able to ask you this. So from your perspective, can you tell the story of when you nearly ended my
I knew you were
jiu-jitsu career?
I knew you were gonna ask that question. All right. So for those who don't know, Josh beats me up on the regular. And so like I mean every day. I tell people this all the time. I think Josh has caught me oh 100 times compared to I don't even think I've caught you once yet. Not in the 3 years that we're
Well,
training together.
well, in this story,
Except
it
that's a
did
submission.
catch me
Yeah.
pretty
So
good.
so I finally had enough. and so Josh we were training and I just had a weird sleeve grip and collar grip on the same side and I elevated you. And usually you're really good at like posting your free hand and like floating on me and hitting passes or just stabilizing. But this time I was like, no, not today, Josh. You're going down. So you fell on your shoulder and you kind of laid there. I was like, oh man, okay, maybe it's hurt a little bit, but you're still there. You're still lucid. You know, I passed your guard, but you were kind of just laying there, to be honest. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna lay here till the round's up. There's like a minute left, and I was like, okay, the round was done, and you kind of got up. You're like, oh man, my shoulder hurts, and then you just hit the deck. you, you pass out, and we had to elevate your feet. Kyle freaked out. He's like, oh god, Josh, he was really concerned, and so we got you back to and got your pants loosened up. And then we yeah, I think you went and saw the doctor right after that, right?
I did. So this is what I remember. I mean, I remember our round fine actually. Like I land on my shoulder while I get up, and you're like, "Hey man, you landed right on your shoulder. Or does it hurt?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's sore." And you're like, "Lift it this way." And so I lift it, and then you're like, "Lift it this way," like out in front of me. And I do, and I literally felt like I just did it really quick, and then my arm like went limp. And I remember thinking like, "Oh my gosh, that hurts so bad." And then I remember even thinking, "Whoa, it's getting really dark in here." And Kyle was asking me if I wanted ice,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he sounded 10 miles away. And then I hear Junior in his heavy Brazilian accent going, "Bro, did you pass out?" And I was like, No, I didn't. And I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, wait, I'm laying face first on the floor right now. And then you like everybody's around me. I'm laying on your lap, and you're like, loosen his
Yeah, man.
pants. And I
Yeah,
was like,
you don't
Nick
want somebody
saw
going to
his
shock.
opportunity. Nick saw his
Yeah,
opportunity
he's
and
like,
he
hey,
seized it.
gotta add some embarrassment on top of it.
Yeah, take his pants off. I'm like, what's going on?
It's not that type of gym. Well, so that for those who don't know, when people go into shock, you got to elevate their legs, and loosen up any restrictive clothing to help blood flow back to the brain. You when you pass out, you want blood flow back to the brain, and that's all I was doing. I had somebody elevating your legs, and just you tie your pants a little tight. I had to loosen them up a little bit.
Well, the funny thing is, like, everyone was like, "Dude, are you sure you didn't land on your head? That could be a head injury."
Right.
And I'm like, I know I didn't. I know
Yeah,
I
you
landed
did.
on my
Yeah,
shoulder. I
on your
was
shoulder.
cognizant the whole time. Well, so I go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Can you lift your shoulder?" And by this time, it's about 3 hours later, so it's going to be hard to lift my shoulder. And there's just a lot of inflammation. So he picks up my arm for me in that same forward position, and he goes, "Does this hurt?" I was like, "No, dude, it feels fine." And he goes, "I'm going to let you take the weight of it." And I tried, and my arm just fell. Cold sweat set in. I pass out
Passed out
again
again.
at the doctor's office. And I was like, "Yep." So it was definitely my shoulder that put me asleep.
Yeah. And they said what they say it was. It was just like
A torn labrum.
torn labrum. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're still
Which
training with the torn labrum?
everybody's got a torn labrum, dude.
I like that, dude.
Yeah, dude, you're good. You rub some dirt in it. And honestly, I actually did all my rehab at home,
Yeah.
and I
We were
trained
back a week
in a
or
month.
like a month later.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so which is, I mean, that was I was still pretty weak in my arm, and there are certain exercises, but I am pretty like anal about just still keeping it rehab and keeping it
yeah.
strong
Good.
because I know that there is stuff not there that there should be.
Right.
But honestly, it really gives me no problems. Jared
That's
was
good.
ripping it off with Kimuras yesterday at
Oh
that
my
seminar.
God, yeah, dude, those were nasty.
Yeah, and
I'm glad it was you and not me in there.
yeah, I think everybody was glad about that. I was talking to one of my students about, like, for whatever reason, no matter what, I am always the uki at any seminar. And if people ever wonder who the meanest instructor ever is, it's Josh Hinger. He
Oh
showed
God,
he
yeah.
showed guillotines and monoplatas, and I like had nightmares about it after. It was horrible.
He was bad, but I've heard that Dustin Deans is the worst.
Oh, I'm sure.
Dude, I've heard stories about that guy, like because Ezra was still America top team and all that stuff, and Dustin would come in
Mhm.
for seminars every now and then. Dude, he would hold on to stuff, and like the uke would be like damn near passed out, and he's like, "Don't
Yeah.
tap yet, no tapping yet." It's like, oh my
Oh
God,
my God.
no
Yeah.
thanks.
Jared, I felt like I told you yesterday, I was like, "Hey man, I think Jared's warming up to me,"
He was
because
cranking the shit
yeah,
out of it.
no, it wasn't as bad as the last time. When he was doing passing though. He taught passing the last time he was in, and oh my Lord, it
That
was
half guard pass he did on you looked pretty rough.
yeah, that was
It was
I
legit
dislocated my hip for sure. But
Yeah, that looked pretty rough.
comparatively to the knee on chest stuff, like that the knee cut stuff he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
doing the last time, wasn't so bad, you know?
Passing, he did say passing is his forte, so that's probably why he's so.
Oh
So
yeah.
good.
Man, he really does feel a million pounds when he's
And so like that his style going back to one of your original questions, like with the old school stuff back in the day, that's all we did. There
Yeah.
was no like I remember when the bullfighter pass was like just started getting popular, but back then it was always like heavy knee slide, just double underhooks was always like the go-to thing, like
Mhm.
double underhook pass and just smash them.
yeah,
That's all
if
it
you had
was.
to if you had to describe it in one word, it was just always forward. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
always.
Everything was
Always.
forward.
Like a
You're
good guy to
wrestling.
watch. Yes, a good guy to watch is like Walid Ishmael. Like
Mhm.
he's the embodiment of old school top game jiu-jitsu, just smash.
Yeah, dude, those guys and those guys, like, um some of them you can be finesse with and they will like try to deal with grips and then, you know what I mean, and then start to smash again. But you go with some of them and they literally don't even care about dealing with grips. It's just
No.
like, I'm just going to press forward through
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and like I would say most of the time it works really well, but then you get one of those guys who's okay with that, getting smashed and just has the answer for you. And if you constantly move forward and aren't, able to shift side to side or go backwards and re-engage, you're gonna get beat. It's like you got to figure out you can't always smash. You can't always smash. It's just yeah.
Well, I mean, you can always smash.
You can. Yes.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I had this platoon sergeant. He was famous for saying, "Well, look, you can do anything once, anything." Like that's true. You can't do anything once.
Yeah, or attempt at least.
Yes. Yeah, you can.
All right. So, I honestly, out of the questions that I had written down, I think I've gotten through like 3 of them.
Oh,
Everything else was just little tangents. But I know it's been really good because I know people always enjoy it when I know, like the way I always know people are going to enjoy it is when I enjoy the conversation.
For sure.
But so yeah, most likely I'm going to have you on again eventually because I wrote a ton of questions down, and like I said, I asked 3 of them.
Give me a good one. What's a good question you got on there?
Well, so at this point, I like to go to a game.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you comfortable with playing a game?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's no way you can lose.
Okay.
I guess if you said something like really offensive or racist during it, you might lose.
There'll be no podcast.
that might mess things up for you a little bit, but I mean, it's going to be hard to lose on. But the game is called Take It or Leave It.
Okay.
How it works is I make a statement, and you can either take it, which means you agree with it, or you can leave it, which means you disagree, and we can conversate about it. So, for example, I might say, take it or leave it, Coke is better than Pepsi.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah? You think Coke's better?
Yeah, for sure.
Man,
for sure.
Really?
The original.
Coke will like burn your insides. Not that Pepsi
That's why it's better.
You don't realize it.
That's why it's better. You're cleansing yourself.
That's smart. That's smart. I get that. Okay, so start out, take it or leave it. Nick Sanders will win Master Worlds this year.
Take it.
I like it. Yeah, so I'm excited about it, man. I'm gonna go to because I'll do Worlds this year, and then afterwards I'm gonna go to Master Worlds with you guys, and I am not competing. Nice. I'm just going to coach and hang out.
Who else is? Did we talk about like Junior or Kyle or any of those guys talking about doing it too?
Kyle's talking about it.
Nice.
I don't know if Junior is. I know I have a few guys that are doing it.
What, Hubner is going to do it?
Hubner, and then I got the Arias twins are going to do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The boys that I'm sure are listening right now.
Good.
And so I actually was messing with them today. I know people listening don't know who they are, but this is the best example of them. If you were to order the Diaz brothers on Wish, that would be those two.
That's the best comparison I've ever heard.
Right? Yeah, and it's true.
Which one is Rob? Which one is Nate? Or Nick and Nate?
I feel like Nick is a lot more Eric.
Okay.
I mean,
I can see that. I can see that for sure.
I can see that. Yeah. All right. So next, take it or leave it. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Oh, I'm definitely taking that.
Yes, that's what I'm
for
talking
sure.
about. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm talking about. I've had Ezra on. I literally had Ezra on to discuss this.
Yeah, his justifications were wrong.
They were wrong. He just doesn't even. It's crazy how far from reality that guy is.
I mean, it literally happens on Christmas.
On Christmas.
Yeah, it's like it's Christmas Eve or whatever. It's there. It happens on that day.
You can have a movie that takes place at the Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. This is a Jiu-Jitsu movie.
I mean, John McClane tapes a gun to his back with "Ho Ho Ho" Christmas tape. I mean, how much more Christmas do you need to be?
Yeah, dude. Some people. Okay, so take it or leave it. Jiu-Jitsu will be in the Olympics one day.
I'm gonna leave it. The reason why, I think it could be, but I say no. I don't want it to be because I don't want it to end up like judo, where they take away a bunch of aggressive throws to make it look more fan friendly. They're gonna it's gonna or Taekwondo even.
Yeah.
Any martial art besides even wrestling, like the freestyle wrestling, I think is not as exciting as folk style.
I totally agree with that.
But they want it to be the Olympic, the internet IOC, the International Olympic Committee. They want it to be viewer friendly. To make more money, and I do not want that for our art at all. Not at all. I would rather see MMA. I would like to see MMA because they had pancreation back in the Olympic days. I think that would be great.
That would be cool.
But like jiu-jitsu, just don't touch the sport. I don't want it to be in the Olympics. We don't need the Olympics. We got the ADCC. We got the Worlds. Why do we need the Olympics? I don't want our art watered down.
I totally agree. I've had that conversation with people before because if you look at judo's been in the Olympics for a very long time, but if you look at it before, judo was way less limited.
It was,
and now you can't touch the person's legs with your hand,
at all.
And so it's I really think that that kind of I still judo's fun to watch. It is fun to see the throws, but I just don't care for it over if you had like a hybrid where you could wrestle, where you could pick up legs and stuff.
Well, and the thing is like they've watered it down to the point where it's not even judo anymore. It's a very specific, like confined. You can only be on the ground for this long. You can only touch the upper body. It's not even judo. Like you took out all the leg attacks. Moroto Gari is a one that like Roddy Ferguson. Remember that guy? He would just pick dudes up and toss them over the head and get ippon all the time. He can't do that anymore. He took out that guy's number one throw. He doesn't compete anymore. But it just watered down the art, and I don't like it.
For sure, I totally agree. Okay, so my last take it or leave it question.
Okay.
So, in a white belt super fight, my wife beats your fiance in a gi match to the death.
Oh, I gotta leave that. I can't do that.
That's what I'm.
For several reasons. First off, if Nadia would kill me if I ever said yeah. Second off, I gotta promote my brand, man. Like, look, I gotta say, Revive Jiu-Jitsu is the best.
I get it, man. I get it. I'm just, I think we should set it up.
Oh my God.
We can all bet on them.
Well, side note, that would be awesome to bet on them. just lay the money down, right? Put the pressure on them even more, just make them even more uncomfortable. But Nadia does say that she wants to try to get a girls thing going at Revive like they have at Kyle's. Like maybe we could rotate and then at your place. And she wants to train with Emily again. And was it Betsy? Was that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, wants to train with those girls again.
Yeah, women aren't welcome in my gym, so they can't.
All right, so it'll be a Revive or Watson's. Not
just kidding. But yeah, that's like that would be a great team night right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Betting on everybody's wives.
Oh my God. Well, and so we got Jessica. There's no other purple belts women that are with significant others.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
so that would be.
But Nasty's girlfriend trains at our gym.
Man, we've got a crew.
We could put her against Jeff's wife Jana. Fight to the death.
I'm digging it. I'm digging this. We could start a whole series and go from city to city. I should probably cut this part out of the podcast so no one steals our idea.
Kind of like bum fights. But like wife fights.
Wife. So we could do, instead of fight to win, it could be fight to wife.
Yeah,
and so
wife.
And so we could really steal that thunder. And like your wife can't be a blue belt or above.
No,
it has to be a white belt.
And like the newer, the better. It's like if they just started.
All submissions league.
Yes, heel hooks only.
I could see that being I could see this podcast getting either of us in trouble or both of us.
Yeah, that whole part you might want to cut out about the Nadia's just a little smile on her face.
Okay, so I always finish the episodes with the same question.
Okay.
So I'm at a Nick Sanders seminar. I am a blue belt, and during the question and answer part, I raised my hand and I ask you. You don't answer. I'm not a real person. I'm not a real person. Yeah, you're gonna make me run laps. Don't raise your hand. But so I'm a blue belt. I raise my hand and I ask you, how do I suck less at jiu-jitsu?
Well, I would first tell them, everybody's jiu-jitsu journey varies, and I would tell my story of the jiu-jitsu journey. My first 11 months as a white belt, I competed at a tournament once a month, and I lost every single one first round. And so you would have considered me to suck at jiu-jitsu. And now, if you look at me now, I'm double golding at the IBJJFs, a 3-time Pan Am medalist. It's just stick to the plan. Listen to your coach. Time on the mat. Train the technique. Don't get frustrated. Push yourself. And if you're a competitor, maybe throw in some strength and conditioning classes, and get some extra drilling in. Push yourself. I think the biggest thing is just push yourself every match. If you're tired, don't sit out. If you sat out 2 rounds last training session, try to sit out 1 round. Just keep pushing yourself. Self-study. That's a loaded question. There's so many things you could do, but take private lessons, specific position training, work on your conditioning, and I think the biggest thing though, out of all that, that's just prepping you for the major thing, which is your mindset going into it. When you go into training, give yourself some small goals. Like if you're a white belt, hey, I'm not going to get submitted 10 times today. I'll get submitted 9. If you're a black belt, I'm going to hit this pass and transition to this movement against another black belt. So give yourself training specific goals and have fun. I think people put too much pressure on themselves, and sucking is a relative term. You might suck compared to the blue belt world champion, but to that dude on the street, you're going to mop the floor with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So
just on that really quick, what when you go into training now, like when you're setting these small goals, are your goals like, I'm going to end Josh's career today? Or
that was my goal. It only happened once. My goal every time I trained. So for you, my goal, you've been hitting me with that Bocchina ankle lock or whatever a lot lately.
Don't tell people about
Man, so good. So my goal is to not get caught in that when I go with you. I think my goals now is try to hit a sweep on all the black belts if I'm in guard. Because it's hard to sweep a black belt.
Yeah,
it's hard. My goal is just let's work this sweep.
Especially when they know your game too.
Oh my God, yeah, it's even harder. So I think that's my goal when I go and train with you guys. Okay, get the sweep, or stay on top. I leave very general goals for myself with you guys because it's just hard when you train with the same guys every day. They know your game. It's hard to do good against them.
For sure, man.
So, but unless your name is Josh McKinney and you throw something radical in there like a new ankle lock that you're killing everybody with, it's ready for. So yeah.
Yeah, I paid Nick to say that.
Private lesson start.
Yeah.
99.
Just like we planned it. Good job.
Paid promotion.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. I know people are really going to enjoy this one, and hopefully I'll have you on again.
Yeah, I shall return, as MacArthur said.
Yeah. All right, bro. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, buddy.
And that is the episode. I want to thank you guys for checking this one out. Nick is such a unique person, such a phenomenal leader, such a great guy. And I've gotten to even understand that more since 3 years ago. That was when we recorded this episode originally, and Nick and I had been friends for a long time since then. But just in that time, sometimes interviews don't age well because you see the person maybe for more of who they are. And, getting to be, just on a team and to kind of be led by a guy like Nick has been so awesome for me and so helpful for me, and it's helped me grow so much. And so, looking back on that interview from 3 years ago, almost 4, it was just really cool. It was just really fun to be like, yeah, he's still the same guy, or even better. And so that was a really cool part. But like I said, this interview and kind of the conversation about the car bomb that Nick and I have in this interview, a lot of people, I always like to ask when someone says, oh, this is my new favorite episode of your show. And like I said, so many people had said that about this episode with Nick and Dan, this interview with Nick and Dan. And so I think that, yes, being in person made a difference. I think that the group of us made a difference. But I know specifically there was some context as to why certain military people are the way that they are. And I think that for people that decide to listen to that episode, and I'll make sure to link it, but I think that it will help you understand that context. And it's a big time commitment. It is a much longer episode, but so many people, and I will spoil it for you. There was this point in this episode, if you're just planning on jumping right over and listening to that episode, maybe even skip this because it's got good shock value. But there is this point in this episode where Nick and I are talking, and he, and Dan are talking, and like they're just telling stories of being overseas and every day waking up uncertain of life or death, and getting shot at every day, and just these crazy stories. And as we talk, there's this point, and I say, when things get calm, if they ever did, how did it feel? What were you thinking about? What was on your mind? And Nick, without skipping a beat, said car bombs. And for people that don't understand the context of that statement, this episode really explains that context. It really shares, like, yes, this person at 19 years old was in a different country, and there was a car bomb that nearly killed him and killed multiple people in his unit. It's just this crazy thing. And I really think that the next episode with Nick really it sheds some really interesting light. And so maybe you guys would be interested in that. Maybe you should check that one out. But that's where I'll leave you guys today. Thank you guys for checking this episode out. If you guys are interested in the idea of understanding distance, learning to never get swept or submitted while on top again, or at least learning how to never get swept or submitted again while on top, then be sure to check out my newest instructional, my newest seminar, the Chest Over Chest seminar. I think you guys will really like it. But that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope today's episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.